Hey everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me for another episode of The Rundown with Ramon. My name is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com, talking to my friend and someone who I've learned from quite a bit, Dr. Daniel Thadani, who has quite a bit of experience in global business operations. We'll see where the conversation goes. But Dr. Daniel, formally it'd be Dr. Thadani, but I'll be a little informal. Dr. Daniel, thanks for being here today, and I hope you're doing well. How are you?
Hey, Roman, good morning. Good morning. I'm good. And privileged to be on your podcast.
Indeed. Glad to have you here. So let's talk about, first of all, who are you today? Just to help the audience understand, Dr. Thadani, who you serve, who you're today, what your expertise is, just so people understand at the top. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about your journey, because you do have an interesting journey, but then we'll get into the meat of the conversation to get your tips and insights on what I call global business, but you're the expert. We'll see where it goes. But just talk to the people, give a little introduction of today, who you are today.
Yeah, so today I'm privileged to be a consultant to an innovative biopharmaceutical company for the uro-oncological franchise. And specifically, these are products, innovative products for the pelvic cavity, oncology in the pelvic cavity, which are today pertinent, especially in the men's category, men's health. So yeah, I'm quite privileged to be a consultant for that.
I love that. And can you just, I didn't want to go too deep into that, but just unpack that a bit more. I know nothing. I know nothing of, I know what oncology means, cancer, I guess. I know what the pelvis is, I think, pelvic, but just unpack that a little bit more for the layperson, what the problem is. Is this basically men's cancer? I want to be sensitive, but unpack a bit more what that means.
So yeah, thank you for the question. The pelvic cavity includes a lot of organs, organs like bladder, the prostate in the men, okay, ureter. So in that, the most predominantly big cancers are for the prostate and the bladder cancer. So and it has happened that the reverse way, the cancer has like a prostate cancer has given rise to bladder cancer due to the radiation therapy, which has been, this is one. Two, why specifically call it, I would call it specifically the prostate cancer, the male's breast cancer. But since men are quite chauvinistic, they don't even go up and report to a urologist, I have a problem. So this goes backward. We have our daily routine to look after our family. We have our own schedule for the day. We forget things. So this is quite neglected, what I find. And so for a layman, if a layman finds, especially men over 35 or plus 40, your urination, you have multiple urination, that's polyuria, or you have, just in case you have blood in the urine, that's hematuria, what's medically called, or microhematuria, or nocturia. So this all symptoms, gives an alarm to men. You should go and visit your urologist. So once you visit your urologist, there are a specific number of tests, which you are clear with it. And once a year, men should go and report to a neurologist to check their pelvic organs. It's a must, yeah. So prevention is better than cure.
Yes, yes. Well, I love this. The first on the Zone of Genius show, we have some advice about taking care of our bodies, which I know is so important. It's hard to be an entrepreneur, hard to be in business if your body is not healthy. So thank you, Dr. Daniel. Again, we're talking to Dr. Daniel Thadani about many different things. And then before I get into the main topic of the day, as much as you wish to share, I know a bit of your story, but I'll see how much you want to and how you want to unpack it. Talk to us about your journey. You're here in the USA. I know you have a family. Do you mind touching a bit about your journey, what brought you here, and why you have global expertise as well? So feel free to unpack a little personal side to you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So I am basically a doctor, a medical doctor by my credential. Then I did my MBA. But I stick to the pharmaceutical business. I did my medicine from Ukraine, and I did my pharmaceutical business in, the journey of the career in pharmaceutical business in Ukraine. So So that's most of Eastern Europe, and then Western Europe. I had a stint of approximately 6 years in the Central Asia, and then it came back to Ukraine and Eastern Europe. So it's backing move and forward, those things. So that's the pharma business I'm into mostly, and uh, uh, basically and into very much sales, commercialization, branded generic promotion. These things, these were mostly I was into. And the last 8 years, I was in this privilege to be in a role of of a CEO, general manager, whatever we call it, for the country in multiple countries. So looking after the P&L, looking after distribution. So it's basically looking after sales, marketing, and distribution without the production, because production sites of for the business which I hold were not in the geography; it was out of the geography. Yeah, so so the whole lot of it is like getting products which to the market which are in need for the population over there, especially branded generics. Find the need therapies, which therapies are more in demand, which therapies need to be addressed. So register, identify those products, register those products, price those products, which are so that it's accessible to the public, and then you set up a team which can facilitate in getting to the HCPs and the caregivers, then work across the distribution team, right? And of course, not to forget, if you're the general manager, you need to liaison at very high level too, and convince them at any disruptions which you have, maybe in the supply chain, maybe in the regulatory, maybe or any other issues related to government, and related to any patient body, and etc. Yeah. So that's the lot, that's the whole gambit which I was playing into. Apart from it, like coming to US is more of an innovative product driven market. So you have the innovative product which contributes to 80% of the business, contrast to where I played in, that's in the emerging markets, Eastern Europe and Central Asia. There are 80% of branded generics. So that's the difference between the volume and the value. So the values are quite huge over here, whereas the volumes are, the other side, the volumes are quite huge in the emerging markets. So it's a blessed scenario. So you have very innovative products in the US, and to deal with any latest or the latest line of treatment for any therapy, any disease, you have the options in the US. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, that's what in a capsule. I just wanted to provide that thing, and yeah, of course, there are a couple of challenges in the US. Like what I find is the distribution model. Yeah, the distribution model is quite complex from a drug when it's when it is from the clinical trials, when it's produced from the phase 1, 2, and then it's getting to be commercialized. So it's a huge complex process. Apart from the distribution model, since it's a huge country, that's where different layers of agents come into play. So there itself, you get the cost higher. It goes, it takes a toll on the cost because you have different layers of agents within the distribution setup, who adds value to getting a product dispensed to a patient. So I'll put it that way. Production-wise, what I find in the US, it needs a lot of gear up in the production part, since to dispense for a population of the size in the US, you can't depend on other geographies to get products in to take care of the mass need which you have in the US. Yeah.
Got it. No, I appreciate that. This is powerful. So what excites me is, let's put a scenario together. Talk to a U.S. company the management of that company. And again, we're talking to Dr. Daniel Thadani, experience in Asia, Europe, now in the U.S., has a head of country operations, and today working as a consultant for an oncology research company, I think. That's my words. And so again, Dr. Daniel Thadani, thanks for being here with us today and sharing your expertise. We can pick the scenario, but I'm going to put what I have in my desk. U.S. company making some chapstick, maybe a U.S. company in the energy sector. I have a battery in my hand. Maybe it's a company making something boring like water bottles. But talk to a U.S. company, and a few questions I want to ask. But question one is it important for U.S. companies to think globally? I think I know the answer to that. But just one, talk about the company that for years has sold just in the U.S. and I'm thinking, man, maybe we can expand. Maybe we can expand our markets by selling globally or selling in other countries at a high level. Talk to that CEO, talk to that leadership. Is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? What are some things they should think about as they're thinking of, should we expand globally? That's question one.
Yeah, of course. You've got a lot of examples. U.S. companies going global. Take Apple, take Amazon. So U.S. is a blessed market with innovations. At its benchmark. Anything which is good, yeah, it'll dominate in U.S. So it's by design. It's a merit-based business. So the question which you asked, it's a wonderful question. Should we go global? Yes, today multiple U.S. businesses have gone global. So there's an example for it. Yeah, it'll be too much for me to comment on that. But
that's good. I just want to start there for other people to hear that yes, there's opportunities to go global. Go ahead, though.
Yeah. So the global, if you see the mass, the north and south blocks of the world, approximately, if you consider Europe, half of Southern Europe, Africa, and Asia, considering the Asian part, both the countries, China, India, which has the massive population, and the subcontinent as a whole, it's approximately 70% of the population of the globe resides over there. So these are which are community driven. So when it comes to prices, if the prices are adaptable to the mass population to serve them, then it's good. For me, contextually, if coming to pharmaceutical, it's a very much IP driven, intellectual property rights driven, business. So this has a very niche market, and it has a lot of value addition, specifically in science, technology, R&D. So I would be happy enough to give more comments on that. But on a community basis, there are products examples, like whatever products in the US are considered in the rest of the world as a benchmark product, that there's a benchmark in that quality. There is a certain level of scrutiny in getting those products there. So when you say the quality, you have the trust in that, inbuilt trust in that. So I guess that plays a part for the U.S. products to be attractive for those markets. I'll put it this way. Just in case there is a special segment of the market which would like to, not a community market, but a special segment where the organization would like to focus and reach, that can be segmented and reached out, because the middle class in that geography too today is rising, and the middle class is equivalent to what you have in the developed nations. The average earning capacity of the developed nation is today's middle class, whatever you term it, the middle class in the developing nations.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Daniel, for that. Second question I have to ask, because I'm curious, as we're talking about, again, whether it's pharmaceutical or we're talking about, I shared a few items. For that U.S. company, again, that's not maybe as big as the Amazons and Apples of the world, but a mid-market company, $100 million company, $500 million company, take your pick. But that company, and I think I know the answer here, but I want to hear how you unpack it. Is there a difference in if we decide we're marketing in Europe versus Asia versus Africa versus South America? And or is it even different region to region in those areas or country to country? How do we decide that? Is it like, hey, we have a water filtration system, whatever, or pharmaceutical? I know those are differences, but let's pick something simpler. Water filtration system maybe. And we're thinking of expanding to Africa? Is that okay to say it that way? Or should we be thinking, no, we're going to go to Ghana? Can we say we want to expand to Europe? Or should we get more narrow and say, no, let's expand to Germany, if you get what I'm trying to ask? So give us a high level just guidance of, now that we decided we want to go global, how do we kind of steer where? Because the world is large.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. And it's a very interesting question. Especially in the pharmaceutical business and in innovative medicines, which I again repeat that how US is blessed. It's a merit-based, market, and you have a lot of new innovative products. So, pharmaceutical business and the medicine is a need. It's a necessity for a patient. So, when there is a necessity for a patient, we look into the epidemiology. What's disease level in each country? So what's the disease level in each country, and how can we reach them? How can we reach those unmet needs? What happens usually is that when a mid-sized company wants to reach those, one is the entry barrier in those geographies. One, two, will the total cost from getting a drug manufactured to landing it up to the patient, will that justify the cost which I bear? So that's a very big question. So if that is solved, then if that is on the ground, then it's already played out. You can sell off that idea. So again, I'm coming back to the epidemiology. So the disease epidemiology, it differs from geography from it has it depends upon the gender, it depends upon the race, it depends upon different lifestyles which you have in those geographies. So if a company wants to reach, it has to study the complete structure of what's the epidemiology, and can we reach those segments justifying to what I have spent. That comes into play. So I'll be going back to my first stance that this is a necessity. Pharmaceutical drug is a necessity for a population, for the patient. So that's, we are going through a community level of window. It would be difficult for putting things, structuring the business. Yeah.
I love it. And what I'm hearing from this is pharmaceutical definitely has its, as you said, its niche needs. But if I'm selling even a fancy electronic device, I'm guessing that the same thinking, what is the need? Who's the market? And I think what I'm hearing you say is maybe, but correct me, that thinking continent by continent, it could be too broad, and to think possibly even more locally as one is starting out. Those are my words. Am I echoing that, or am I incorrect in that, maybe, as you're thinking of expanding?
No, yeah, I fully agree with you, or what you would like to say. So that's why what happens is that the branded generics comes into play here, where there is a community market. The community size the complete market, taking an innovative product. When a patent is over, or
talking about pharmaceutical now.
Yeah. So in the same way, the pharmaceutical business too, what comes in play is that the branded generics comes once the patent is over. They take it in, economies of scales, building up huge manufacturing plants where the patents of those products are over, and they dispense it to the mass population, and they have that window of reaching out to the population with the mass population reach point of view. So,
Got it. What are some questions that you think a company should ask? And I know these are broad, but what are some questions a company should ask when they're thinking of expanding to market, non-pharmaceutical, just as a high level for companies in general? Should they be, well, you mentioned some actually, demographics, gender. Is there a use case? Any other things that a company should think about as they're expanding, whether it's, should we go to Mexico? Should we go to Ghana? Should we go to Poland? What are some things, are there any top 3, 4, 5 common things that always ask this as you're thinking of what market to serve? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, so basically, if from a US perspective you get into it, you have to look into the entry, what's the cost in entry, and at the same time, the risk factor was the cost in exiting out of that market too.
I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
what exiting out if something's wrong, or just exiting out in general, for whatever reason?
Yeah, for whatever reason, because there are X number of risk factors in different geographies. You have risk factor in regulatory, you have risk factor in the legal part, you have risk factors in supplies. Okay, you have risk factor in licensing, you have risk factor. No, you have got multiple risk factors. So exit strategy should also be there when you put entry strategy. So entry, what's the cost of entry and what's the cost of exit? This is one. Make it very clear. Number 2. Is my commercialization sustainable? Okay, so is my it's not, it's not, if we consider it a trading, you just trade. Usually companies trade, innovative companies even take that trading model and give it to a third distributor. They do all the stuff since they don't want to take any responsibility. And of course, who should take the responsibility of so they put it a third party and do it, channel it through the distribution of the third party in that country where they are operating. If they want to get into a country, they have to look what's the cost of entry and what's the cost of exiting too, just in case XYZ things happens. What's the cost, how we put the commercialization model in place, what's the number of products should be there in that, how much time does it take a product to register? Because across geographies where I've worked, it doesn't take less than a year to get a product registered.
Wow,
that's minimum.
So you have to have a long runway, money.
Yes.
And
so for that, you're just putting your dollars across your window. You don't know where it's going. So that's why if you look into an entrepreneur, I'm sure there's a podcast for entrepreneurs. So an entrepreneur will I'm just putting it from my pocket across the window and putting it on. That's one. So we take in consideration of everything from what's the commercialization cost for year 1, year 2, year 3, and where is the break even coming in.
I love it.
Keeping both the things in intact. What's the cost of entry and what's the cost of exit too, and in the middle you keep all the commercialization thing in place. Yep.
I love it. Great. And again, everybody, we're talking to Dr. Daniel Thadani, whose expertise is oncology, expertise is global business operations, definitely pharmaceutical. And again, Dr. Daniel Thadani, glad you're here with us today. A few more questions for you. Thank you so much for being here. Again, talking to the American business, that's the lens I have, right? I've traveled around the world, but I have a Western mindset. And I don't even know how to ask the question, but I'm sure you can help me or you understand what I'm trying to ask. Okay, we've been doing it this way, Dr. Thadani. We made, whether it's pharmaceutical or beyond, we made this widget. American mindset. Here's how we hire, how we fire, how we market. I heard that when I used to work at the United Nations, I would hear that from my friends. Ramon, you're so American. How do I take the American company I built with the American mindset? And again, my example, now I want to serve Polish customers. I want to serve Ukraine customers. I want to serve Russian customers. I want to serve Ghanaian, Kenyan. You get where I'm going. I want to serve the world. Do I let go of the American mindset where I've been successful? Do I add it on to the local place I'm at, or do I blend it? Do you understand what I'm trying to ask? How do I expand, but yet I have an American mindset? Does that make any sense what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, so it's good that you have American mindset, and you should have that American mindset all throughout. Yeah, appreciate it. So a product in need, if there is a product, there is a need of a product, you present it anyway, it will be needed.
Okay.
And there will be a there'll be a group of customers which will accept it. You call it the American mindset, or you come, and you come to any country and paint it that way. So I'll just go back a bit theoretically and a bit academically.
Yes.
We got into the industrialization phase, right, era. Then we came then in production, industrialization, production, localization, globalization. Now we're thinking back localization. The world is moving back to localization because the pandemic has, made us rise and think, it needs to show. So it really depends upon, yes, we adapt to the culture locally. You can be a global locally. Okay, so I think, you can present your American product here in a local way, because there is a category of people, there is a category of population which would sought for American product. I need the American product, okay. Or there will be a subset of population which will look into, it doesn't matter what is it, if I just need the attributes of that product, that's it. So you can, basically I'll try to answer. I don't know how much could I am able to answer, but
I love
it. So these two parts, can be taken up for any entrepreneurs, I guess, even a non-pharma guy. Yep.
No, this is good. And then I have one or two more questions, Dr. Daniel. And again, then feel free. Anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share, feel free. No problem at all. But let's talk about hiring. Again, it's similar to what I've just asked you already. But, ethnicity, culture, it's different. Again, my was limited. I worked over 10 years at the United Nations. And I remember one day I went to the Japanese mission, the permanent mission of Japan to the UN. I walked in there with my French boss, Dr. Daniel. And I came in there. I was being as nice as I could. Hi, my name is Ramon Ray. How are you? And I reached my hand out. My boss said, Ramon, that's the wrong way to greet her. You quote unquote traumatized her in a fun way. It wasn't literally, but he said, that's not. And I learned a lesson. I have to be sensitive to people. Everybody's different. Even in America, we're different. So I guess my question, Dr. Daniel Thadani, and I know expertise in pharmaceutical and oncology and so many things you're doing, and thank you for being here, is just, can you talk about the human dimension? Again, talking to the American companies, Western mindset, and even we may have immigrants, but still it's the Western mindset in America, and we're trying to go global. Can you just talk about hiring local mindset, anything like that? Touch on the aspect of the human-to-human connection, but yet my company's in Austin, Texas, and I'm trying to sell in Austria. Talk about that.
Yeah, so, for hiring specifically, if you want, it's a customer-facing thing. It's a customer-facing role. For that, the customer has to get somebody with whom we can connect. And to get the connect, you need to have that same, set of words, same set of phrases, So other than that, you're coming into, dropping down with an exclusive, high-end product in a 5-star resort with just, 24, 30 people on board. And you're not presenting that. If you are customer facing and you need to face a customer, which is a mass product, you need to connect with the local public, and with the local customers. To connect with the local customer, you need the local person there. Yeah. Apart from saying that, when you gave, it's a wonderful example which you gave when you met that person. Hey, you heard it, right? So it's a both way around. If you are playing in that market, you are playing there. That you should know that American guy is coming. He'll be putting out his hands to greet somebody. Whereas it's in the continental Europe, you may not find some men greeting a female straight away, their head. So there are a lot of differences in that part, but both sides, I guess, both sides should understand what's the requirement. And coming back to your point that if it's hiring on purpose of meeting the front customer facing jobs, you need a local guy.
Dr. Thadani, what haven't I asked you? Again, you have a broad range of experience, broad range of things you're doing here, broad range of expertise that you bring to the table. Anything you wanted to go back to, anything you wanted to touch on, anything I didn't ask that you wanted to mention, but it's just, I've learned a lot and it's been great having you here with us. Anything else you wanted to touch on today?
Well, thank you, Ramon. I too learned a lot, So I just want to touch upon a couple of things that you have. When lives give you lemons, you make lemonade out of it, right? And um, you just keep continue learning. The continuous process of learning, will always. I don't know. In my case, have the mindset of keep the mindset of learning, get into whatever shoes you get in, and learn from there. Yeah, and that will keep you rolling ahead and much beyond whatever you thought about.
Yes, indeed. No, thank you. And is the best place for us to contact you, those who want to get to know you? LinkedIn, is that the best place, or is there another route, or is
Sure.
LinkedIn the
Yeah,
best place?
LinkedIn. I'm there on LinkedIn. Yeah, you
Great.
can connect me on LinkedIn.
Appreciate it. Well, once again, everybody, my name is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com, talking to Dr. Daniel Thadani, Thadani, Dr. Daniel Thadani. Thanks for joining me on the Rundown with Ramon. We've talked about quite a bit of things, and through my lens of a Western American mindset, really diving into how companies can go global. Touched on a bit about the niche aspect of pharmaceutical and oncology. And I hope you've enjoyed this interview. Be blessed and have a wonderful, wonderful day.